Q Crew, what's going on? In this dosage of the Q Pill, Brittany Renner admits to regretting allowing men to use her for sex. Who didn't see this coming? Any man who gets women and understands female nature knew that this was coming. And I've spoke on it time and time again in my body count videos, speaking on why body count actually matters and actually highlighting the fact that it matters more so to women themselves than even men, because they're the ones who have to deal with the consequences of their high body counts. But I get called misogynistic for pointing out realities like that. But before we react to it, y'all already know the drill. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and share my content so that everybody else can get a dose of the Q Pill as well. Let's get a dose of this shit. We're just going to dive right into reacting to the video because it's not much I can say other than I told y'all so and I knew this was coming. Let's take a look at the video.
I will say, I have to be honest with myself because I think it's easy to take the cliche route and say, like, I would do nothing differently. Now, from the wisdom I have acquired, no, I would not change this wisdom for a clean slate. And that's just the God honest truth. But I will say to 20-year-olds, and even to my 20-year-old self, I hate how I allowed myself to just be like used up by men. And that came from a lack of self-worth. I did not understand my value that I was born with. I didn't. And I gave, again, people look at sex differently, but sex is spiritual unification. At the end of the day, I don't care how you spin it. It's spiritual.
For women.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, for women.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. For women, it's spiritual unification.
For women.
And people that I shared my body with, when I think about my list, it's repulsive because they didn't deserve it. But that was an outcome of me discounting my worth. And it's disgusting. I hate even having that spiritual tie in any type of way. But yeah, I would absolutely change sexually how I move around. And not even necessarily because of like the societal outcome. It's more so from my self-worth.
Like, how it makes you like feel.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good knowing that you gave a sacred part of you to a man that looked at sex with you as taking a piss. It's not fulfilling. It's disgusting to think about. And I feel like I've beat myself up every single day for my decisions. And what people say about me online holds no candle to what I've told myself on a daily basis. Like, I've been called worse by better, and that better be me. Like, I have talked down to myself, and I felt like I was unworthy for a very long time. And I would say this is more of a recent awareness, like in the past year, where I'm like, Brittany,
Y'all heard it all. Y'all heard it all right there. Now, the majority of women who rack up bodies will sooner or later come to this realization. They'll have this epiphany. They'll have this paradigm shift because they start to see that as they near that wall and they've done nothing but accumulate bodies searching for commitment, which is what I've stated time and time again in my body count videos that I get shamed for when I say that women will rack up bodies searching for commitment. They'll give their body up to a man hoping for something more. And when that man doesn't commit, they'll just move on to the next. And it becomes cyclical until they've racked up a lot of bodies. And this has been demonstrated here with Brittany Renner. If you watch the full interview, I watched a little bit of it. She goes on to say that that's exactly what happened. For those of you who are not aware, as I said before, women did not evolve to be promiscuous. And the psychological adaptations that women have, their mate selectivity modules, those things will run rampant. Their effective system will go crazy if they compromise that mate selectivity by racking up bodies. I've said it over and over again. Y'all hear her say, first and foremost, that it's disgusting. It's repulsive. This is how women start to feel when they realize that they gain nothing in return. And this is why she feel used. This is why she feels used, because she gave up her body in hopes that she would get commitment out of the men that she was giving up her body to. And when she didn't receive that, she felt that she didn't get a fair trade. But again, I'm glad she admits that that's her fault, because that is indeed her fault. Because she says she didn't realize that her value, she was born with her value. That value that women are born with is called virginity, because that's what men value. And for the most part, if a woman is a virgin, the power is in her hands if a man wants that. If a man was down there, if a man wants to engage in coitus and a woman, that hymen hasn't been broken yet, she hasn't been penetrated yet, the power is in her hands. But, men having the options that they have as the top men and having women who are willing to give it up makes the women who are virgins have to try to compete a little harder. But that's another story that I can dive into. That's another analysis I can dive into. Right now, I want to address this because I told you guys, I said it. Women did not evolve to be promiscuous. It doesn't have any benefits. It doesn't have any advantages. It does for men, but it doesn't for women. Which is why the natural psychological adaptation that they use to combat that is commitment. Getting tied down, getting attached. That's why they release oxytocin. Nature has designed the female body to abide by and adhere to the rules of biology so that they can optimize their reproduction, that they can optimize their offspring's survival. And that's typically getting attached. When women try to go against the rules that biology wrote, this is the outcome. Regret, disgust. They hate themselves. Another thing that we realized that she addressed is that she said, not even because of societal standards. And I'm glad she said that, because this has nothing to do with society. You know how women love to say, society says, we're conditioned, society says, we're conditioned, society says. No, nurture is a reflection of nature. It's already intrinsically in you. It's already intrinsically in women to know that this doesn't feel right. Society doesn't have to tell them shit about what's unacceptable. Evolution does. Their psychological adaptations will innately tell them that. I said, women get ran through looking for commitment. And for many of you who don't know, women actually use short-term mating strategies as a method for gaining long-term commitment. Many of you probably didn't know that. But women engage in short-term mating with the hopes that it will bring long-term commitment. But as we can see, when it doesn't work out, they continue to cycle. They try over and over again, and before you know it, they're Brittany Renner. Amazing, isn't it? And so many women who have been in this situation have experienced the same outcome, have felt the same way, and have the same story to tell. Because this is reality. This is what happens when you try to go against nature. You pay the price. They pay the price in unwanted pregnancies. They pay the price in STIs. And they pay the price in sexual regret, which is something that is common amongst women who engage in short-term casual flings and women who rack up bodies. They experience a huge degree of sexual regret, repulsivity, disgust. They're at war with themselves. That cognitive dissonance be kicking their ass. Because they thought what they were doing, they could do. They didn't think about the negative consequences of their acts. They didn't think how it would come back to bite them in the long run. And now they'll want the world to understand. You know, there'll be some simp out there who listens to this and he understands, and he'll still marry her. He'll still want to deal with her, despite the fact that she's clearly emotionally damaged. She's not in a good headspace mentally. She's on the right path. She's starting to accept it for what it is and go from where she is without trying to blame the world. But the reality is she brought this on herself. She wasn't used. She opted to lay down and spread her legs. She sat on podcasts around the world saying, women can do it too. Women can do this too. And then turn around and go behind closed doors and cry in the car. Literally. Ladies, I'm telling y'all have to learn this is a lesson. You're not built for it. Nothing good comes out of it. You won't accept yourself. You'll see yourself differently. You'll feel differently about yourself. And it won't be positive. Now, she said, having the wisdom now, she could take the cliche. She could take the cliche route and says she wouldn't change anything. But I guarantee if she regrets it, she would change it. And I've always said women have to learn the hard way. And that's the only way women will learn, especially in this feminist era where you try to tell women things and instead of listening to what you're saying and actually applying it and using it to their advantage, they call you misogynistic and they call you sexist. They don't pay attention to the validity of what you're saying. They think you're somehow trying to oppress them. They can't see how it's going to be beneficial in the long run until they've done it, they've experienced the negative side of it, and they regret it. This is what happens. This is the outcome of being a thought. This is the outcome of engaging in coitus with man after man after man after man, doing it and doing it and doing it again. And we see how much emotional value women place on sex. She admits it. For women, they consider it spiritual, soul ties, all the mystical descriptions. The reality is that's what it means to them. And if that's what it means to them and their vagina is sacred, then they should treat it that way instead of trying to defend their position as if they can act like men, as if they have the same morals sexually of men when they weren't constructed to behave in the ways in which men behave when it comes to sexual behavior. It's not unfortunate. We knew she was going to learn the hard way. We knew it was coming. And I'm glad she said it because I love being right. I appreciate y'all tuning into this dose of the Q Pill. I'm Suave Q, aka the Q Pill. I'll catch you guys on the next dosage. Over and out.